Have you ever felt like, well, like a part of you is missing, like you're not quite whole? We're going to explore that exact feeling through a story that really begins in the deepest part of the night. In that quiet, unsettling space between one day and the next. My phone just buzzed softly on the bedside table. The screen lit up the room, this pale blue light in the dark. I wasn't asleep. I never really slept anymore. Not really. I remember frowning and this knot of confusion just tightening in my stomach. It just didn't make any sense. How is that even possible? I picked up the phone. My fingers felt cold, kind of strange, and I tapped open the message. My heart didn't just stop. It felt like it was seized by this icy grip. This cold dread just washed over me, and the air in the room, it suddenly felt thick, heavy. And that feeling of being watched, it was immediate. It was absolute. So slowly, painfully slowly, I let my eyes scan the room. The door was closed. The window was locked tight. The only sound was the faint, rhythmic hum of the ceiling fan. Nothing else. I swallowed hard against this dryness in my throat. Every single part of me was screaming not to engage, to just throw the phone. But I had to know. My thumb was trembling over the screen as I typed it back. The reply was instant. The words seemed to just burn on the screen. And a chill crawled right up my spine because deep down, in a place I refused to look, maybe I did know. Maybe some part of me I had locked away knew exactly who this was. You see, this feeling didn't just come out of nowhere. To understand what was happening, we have to go back. Just 2 months ago, life was, it was painfully normal, solitary, predictable. Then came the night of the accident. I remember the heavy rain, the streetlights blaring together, just being lost in my own head. And then the impact. Sudden headlights, the sound of screaming metal, and I woke up in a hospital. They told me how lucky I was, but there was just this strange blankness where the memory should have been. My phone buzzed again, and it pulled me sharply back to the present. The words on the screen made my chest tighten until it was actually hard to breathe. I just stared at the message. The words started to blur. A long pause just stretched out, filled only by the sound of my own frantic heartbeat. And then, with a deep breath, I slowly, hesitantly pulled up my sleeve. And there it was, a thin, pale line running just below my elbow. It was part of my own body, but it felt like a complete stranger. I had no memory of it, not at all. My breathing got shallow, and each breath was a struggle. And that reply, it shattered something in my mind. These fragmented images just flashed behind my eyes, glass chattering like a spiderweb, a sharp, searing pain in my arm, a scream that was mine but also not mine, and then just darkness. My hands were trembling so badly I could barely hold the phone. "That's impossible," I typed. The words were like this desperate plea. I was alone, but the response came back stark and simple, just erasing my reality. And then suddenly I remembered. Not clearly, but it was there. I'd been arguing with myself in the car that night, out loud. I just dismissed it as stress, exhaustion. But there were two distinct voices. One was angry, and the other was afraid. The messages kept coming, laying out this horrible sequence of events. When the crash happened, the body couldn't keep both of us. Someone had to stay, and someone had to go. The words just landed with this devastating weight. And as if on cue, the lights in my room flickered once, and then steadied. I stood up, my heart was pounding in my ears. This isn't real, it can't be. I was just chanting it to myself, this desperate mantra. But then the phone buzzed again, with a message that just shattered my denial. I looked down. My feet were bare on the cold floor, right near the bed. I typed back, "What do you want?" An agonizing moment of silence passed. Felt like forever, before the reply finally came. The next message, it explained everything. You took the body, I took the pain. And suddenly, it all made a terrible kind of sense. The constant emptiness, the feeling that something was always missing. It wasn't something, it was someone. It was a part of me. A final message appeared. My heart screamed no. Every instinct I had told me to throw the phone, to run, to do anything else. But my finger, it moved as if it had a will of its own. The screen switched, and I saw him, myself, standing right behind me. It was my face, my eyes, but they were darker, hollowed out by a pain I had never allowed myself to feel. And then he smiled. Those were his final words to me. The room went silent. The phone slipped from my numb fingers, clattering to the floor. And then everything just went black. I woke up to sunlight streaming through the window. My phone was on the table. The screen was dark. No new messages. No missed calls from my own number. When I checked my arm, the scar was gone. And the fear, that constant gnawing fear, it was gone too, replaced by the strange, unsettling sense of calm, a quiet I hadn't known was possible. Later that day, I was walking past a mirror, and for just a fraction of a second, I didn't recognize my own reflection. I thought I saw someone else staring back at me. But then, the reflection smiled. A slow, knowing smile. And I found myself smiling back.